Hey, what's going on, guys? This is what MPG reporting. So a lot of big changes are happening to her. I've got a lot of big things planned. Don't mind the messy garage. I'm too busy to kind of clean these things up. Also want to apologize for not being able to frequently produce content. I do have a day job, and I mean, you know, if this whole YouTube thing kicks off faster than I expect, you know, who knows? Maybe that'd be a thing to quit my day job and do this thing full time. You know, I'm not counting my chickens before they hatch, though, I'll tell you what, but I'm definitely down to listen to the possibility. All right, so today's gonna be a little simple discussion as to what I plan on doing and the future of this car. As most of you, if you follow me on Instagram, you kind of already know what this future plan is. If you don't follow me on Instagram, then I guess I'll go ahead and tell my YouTube audience. So after a long hard thought and discussion about this car, I decided that I was gonna go turbos. Now I'd like to go a little bit more in depth as to my reasons why, but first there's a little something I do want to do with this car before I do that. And the only thing that I got to do is pretty much upgrade the PCV system. I'm kind of currently running these, and obviously going turbos, there's a lot of potential crankcase pressure that I may be dealing with, and these lines aren't big enough. They're just not gonna cut it. So my shop guy has actually told me, hey, I think you should go upgrade to a -10 line. I never really did it, but now I see the need to, because you want this motor to breathe when it's under all the pressure, all the boost. So that's kind of what I'll be installing for you guys. Kind of showing you guys how to do it, and we'll go from there. Awesome, thank you guys. Alrighty, so I got a bunch of fittings that I'm going to be using for this install. So here's fitting number 1, and this is a -10. So this is a -10 to 3/8. 3/8. God damn it. This is a -10 to 3/8. 3/8 goes into there, into the catch can. Okay. I think those just fucking pop up. So I use this rag so I don't really scratch the end fittings like I did with this. It's kind of all scratched up. All right, so this is the second area. That's weird. Starts with beat. So as you guys know, this clip just pops off. Easy. Oh, fuck. Oh, damn it. Technical difficulties. Fucking hell. Okay. Pain in my ass, for sure. Yeah, come on. So this is a stock. This is a stock opening for the PCV right there, and I'm gonna be upgrading it with some better fittings. So when you take it out, it's a big open hole. Time to put in the dash 10 fitting in there. Here it is with the UPR fitting installed. Now, only thing left to do, oh fuck, is install this fitting inside. This is the dash 10 hose. You can kind of see it. Compare that with this hose. All right, where's my light? Okay, so this is the bigger lines. I routed the back one back there. Once I go turbo, this coolant tank will be gone, so I can fix this line a little bit better. But for now, it's gonna have to do. And fittings all through. All right, guys. So, like I was saying before, one of the reasons, there are many reasons why I want to go boost. I'm sorry. Take two. So like I was saying, there are many reasons why I want to go turbos. First of all, the biggest incentive why I want to go turbos is because, first of all, I don't really like running on kill all the time. That was one of the downsides, at least for me, is that I'm constantly pushing 20 pounds of boost into the motor every time I do a pull, and I didn't always like that. From a longevity standpoint, when you think, from a long-term standpoint, it's not good for, it's not beneficial for me, because I do want this new motor to last a good while. So that was one of the biggest reasons why I was like, well, with turbos, with a push of a button, I could run 750. I could be 750 horsepower. And, at 750 horsepower, that's not even really stressing the engine at all. I guess second reason was, when my stock motor failed, it was due to, I guess, having a supercharger. It snapped the crank snout right off on a Paxton kit. And Paxtons are supposedly known to not do that. It's definitely a lot rarer in a Paxton kit, but I would say there's about 5% chance or maybe 10% chance of you snapping your crank on a Paxton kit versus a 90% chance of you not breaking your crank. I happen to be the anomaly. And I wasn't really pulleyed aggressively. I broke it on a 3.48 pulley. It wasn't even on a 3.3 pulley, and it broke. I did have an ATI balancer, and one of those ARP crank bolt that you fasten it into. But I'm also doing some research and learning. It seems like the ATI balancer is a culprit for all that. It seems like everybody who's broke their crank has always had ATI balancers or potentially stock balancers. So this is why, I guess it's a good way to segue to the reasons why I love Innovators West. This is a way to segue to the reason why I love Innovators West. With Innovators West balancer, obviously, so currently on my car I have an Innovators West balancer, but it's a 10%, and obviously we can't use that on a turbo car. I gotta get a stock size balancer. So this is Innovators West. This is a proper balancer. It's not as heavy. I could one hand this. This is a proper balancer. So this is for the turbo. God damn it! No, I got air in it. Anyways, that's for turbo, pulling turbo. So like I was saying, I did some research on it and it seems like it's an ATI issue. But anyways, there's not a concrete study on what the issue is and why mine broke. So when it broke, anybody who's ever snapped the crank usually says fuck superchargers, I'm done with superchargers, and buys turbos. Well, I didn't really have the budget for that, which is why I kind of carried along with what I had per se, and kind of took preventative measures. There are things out there in the market that you can do to prevent your cranks from snapping. Sadly for Vortex / Paxton kits, There is no crank support. According to these guys, they don't need it, which is funny because I think they do need it. So that is the second reason why I want to go turbos, is because, you know, well, I've always wanted to go turbos especially after I broke my crank on superchargers. I just feel like a Coyote, the snout is not as large as an LS snout, so if not properly braced, that snout will just snap like a toothpick. So you know, the second reason why I want to go turbos is because I snapped my crank with a supercharger. So at that point, I had a distaste for supercharger. Third reason why I want to go supercharger is because it takes, I'm sorry, third reason why I want to go turbos, and I probably might mix them up and say third reason why I want to go supercharger or whatever, but excuse me on that. Third reason why I want to go turbos is because turbos, potentially you run less boost to make you know, more power than a supercharger would. It's pretty worse on positive displacement PD blowers. Sentry blowers are a lot more efficient, so it's not as bad. You know, like, just kind of a rough example. Let's say to make 1,000 horsepower on turbo cars, you need about 15-16 pounds of boost. You know, based on the turbo kit, about 15 or 16, or even some do 14. You know, that's also based on how good your motor is. Now, you know, compare that with a supercharger or a Sentry. I'm gonna specifically mention a centrifugal. A centrifugal takes, you know, let's just say 20 pounds, 22 pounds of boost to make 1,000 horsepower. So, you know, as you can see, you're hitting your 1,000 horsepower mark with potentially less boost, 15-16 pounds of boost, versus you trying to hit 1,000 horsepower with 20, 21, 22 pounds of boost. So as we're speaking on a longevity standpoint, the car pushing less boost is also a lot better for the motor, that is. So, and that, you know, that was the third factor. Now, you know, not knocking superchargers. I think superchargers are amazing. They're fun and relatively inexpensive in a way, you know, to make power. Now, the only way I would always advocate for turbos is after you're trying to pass the 1,000 horsepower mark. That's when I would personally, just me personally, would advocate for turbos on a Coyote. You know, I'm not talking about LS, I'm not talking about any other motor, on a Coyote. And that's just basically, you start really tugging on that crank when you're pushing that car over 1,000. And it always worried me. Even my car, I was, you know, I am pretty scared of going watt in the car, because that shit's always at the back of my head, that, you know, I'm tugging on the crank pretty hard, you know, and it would always scare me to even have fun with the car. So, you know, that's also something else, you know, just the fear of being supercharged, you know, running high horsepower was kind of a scary thing for me. So I felt like I couldn't enjoy the cars to its full potential like I would be able to with a turbo car. you know. So and last but not least, in which, you know, it may be an issue for others and may not be an issue for others, you know, is belt issues. Once you start pushing a lot of power, having smaller pulleys, start dealing with belt slip. You know, when your belt starts slipping, you're losing power. You're not making as much power as you could, and or breaking belts. 6-inch intercooler core. Look how thick it is. That's how thick it is. Crazy.